Hello everyone, my name is Rafal and welcome to my vlog. So on today's vlog, I would like to talk a little bit about different locations where you guys can shoot your headshots. This is also one of the most common questions I've been receiving from you guys, that you have all the equipment, you have the gear, and now you have some issues where you guys can shoot your headshots. So this vlog will be dedicated to everyone who asked that question, and hopefully this vlog gives you some new ideas and some new concepts, and that gives you a little bit of better understanding where you guys can actually go and shoot your headshot. And it's not as complicated. There's a lot of places where you guys can take advantage of and then shoot some stunning headshots, and you don't really need, I would say, high-end studio to shoot your headshots. You can really make this work. So let's jump into some of those ideas and let's discuss them step by step. So the first, and of course the most popular and the most common place where you guys can shoot your headshot, it's your own home. And I know we're living in different countries and different places, and sometimes the places where we live, they're not as big, but with the setup where I use, I can pretty much set it up, this whole thing, in 5 minutes, and of course it doesn't gonna take as much space. So technically I think the best way to do that is basically test your home and see if you guys are able to do it. I know sometimes we have a lot of members of our family and it's really difficult to, I would say, bring the clients, but if you have, let's say, I would say, time where nobody's at home and you have that luxury that you can set up your equipment and you can actually take advantage of it, I think that would be the best starting point, and I think you can really make the location actually work. It takes, as I said, a little bit of testing and see what works, what doesn't, but I can assure you that I've been shooting my headshots in very, very tiny spaces and tiny homes, and I always somehow could make this work. So that would be the first option. The second option is, of course, the client home. So let's say you're getting in this industry and you have the clients, and maybe the good option is to ask them if I can shoot at your location. And there's few advantages of this, that basically the client feels more comfortable shooting at their place. Again, the biggest challenge might be how to make this whole thing works, especially when they're living in a tiny space, but I can assure you that this is possible and it's doable. I'm living in Canada, where fortunately we have luxury that most of homes and apartments are fairly big, so people have a lot of space, but still I think that you can really make this work. So the next location I would like to mention is also, again, very, very popular and typical. You can shoot either on any backyard, or also you can shoot in any park. Those places are fairly, I would say, spacey, and you can always kind of like find the location to shoot your headshots. I'm not big fan of, I would say, green backgrounds, and sometimes might be very, very challenging when it comes to lighting, but still, if you have certain place where there's some shadowy actually area, or you shooting in, let's say, place where there's not too much sun, or it's like very, very cloudy day, then also you can really easy make this work. Sometimes whenever you go to the park, some places might require some permits and then stuff like that, so I would check this before, so you're not getting into a situation where someone will kick you out, or there might be some issues, especially when you have paid clients. Just be aware that you have to be prepared for anything, and then you don't want to be thrown out from location because you don't have a permit, and you're going to feel embarrassed at the front of your client. So this is something which I would highly recommend it. The next places which I would recommend to do, especially when you're living in, I would say, bigger cities, any, I would say, architectural thing could work. So I'll show you some examples. Let's say this image I have shot on the Peace Bridge. This is actually bridge in Calgary. It has really nice, I would say, texture, and the building has really nice pattern and looks really well. The one thing which was kind of difficult in this particular photo shoot, that there's a lot of people going in and out, so also you have to be kind of aware that if you're going to any public space, that might be a little bit challenging, because you might have some bystanders and people who are going to approaching you and they try to talk to you. And also I think sometimes it's frustrating, especially when you're shooting with those big soft boxes, that it's gonna cause a lot of attention. And another thing, especially when you're shooting outside, I know I'm just throwing a lot of things, but this is something which comes to my mind right now. You have to be aware of wind, and try to kind of make sure that your setup is secure and it's safe, especially when you're shooting outdoors, or you're shooting in any places where might get some wind. So when it comes to shooting outdoors, as I said, any architecture will work as long as you can find some interesting patterns. You can definitely use that into your own advantage and create some stunning headshots. Another little, I would say, tip which I really like, and this is the place which I always love to shoot, is any graffiti walls. This is something which I've been exploring quite a bit, and I am sure every place you live there is some graffiti walls, and you can always use them to create some stunning headshots. And they're always unique, they're very colorful, they have a lot of interesting patterns to them. So just go around, and usually also what I found, that those locations, they're fairly there's not too many people. Sometimes again you have to be careful how shady they are and where they are, so you're not going to get in any problems or issues with you know, the locations, which might be not safe for you and your client. Especially again when it's paid client, you have to make sure that you're prepared to the teeth, so you know you're not going to run into the situation which you might feel uncomfortable, or you know your client might feel not safe. But graffiti walls, as I said, they're the amazing resource for interesting backgrounds, and that's something which I would highly recommend. So let's move into indoors. So I cannot really shoot in Canada for a long time, like outdoors, because we have quite heavy winter here, and people would feel uncomfortable, so I have to move some of my shoots indoors. So this is the places where I like to shoot. So one of the places where I would highly recommend it is definitely any restaurants. There's plenty of them around, and you can always ask the owners or managers who work there if they have some, I would say, availability, or they would allow you to shoot in their location. Sometimes the way it goes, I do some additional shoots for them so they can allow me to shoot inside. And there's a lot of restaurants which have amazing interior design, which you can use to your advantage, and you can use this as a background. And again, you're indoors, right? So you much safer environment, and you don't have to worry about wind and all this crazy stuff. So another place which I would highly recommend is definitely art galleries. Here you have to be very careful, especially when you're going to start using some of the art they might have. Are you allowed to I don't know, use that? Sometimes some people might be very picky and careful, but I was fortunate enough that I was shooting in several different art galleries in Calgary, and they allow me to use their art as a background. It's typically blurred and stuff like that, so basically what I'm looking for is pretty much just the texture and just the pattern, which I can actually create something interesting. So the last thing is the location indoors, which I highly recommend, especially when you're shooting corporate stuff and you're shooting in some, I would say, offices. I found the hallways work the best, and this is something which I've been constantly using, because as long as you have a little bit of space in the hallway and you don't cause, I would say, any safety issues, you can set up your equipment and you can shoot in the hallway, and that always kind of gives you this really interesting, I would say, depth, and then you can blur the background and then add some little bit of lighting here and there and create some stunning headshots. So this is for, you know, places which are really really difficult to shoot, especially as I said, the corporate stuff. Whenever you have to go into locations where have only offices and there's I would say nothing else, then basically, you know, this is I would say the best option. And also you don't take place or any offices which might be you know, taking by I don't know the employees or stuff like that. So this is something which I found always works and always creates stunning images. And yeah, you can really take advantage of those hallways because they're really cool, and then you can create something interesting. Okay, I think that gives you at least the starting point where you guys can shoot. I will be creating more videos to share with you guys some other ideas about interesting locations, but I think that gives you some really good starting point where you guys can you know, start shooting your headshots. So if you have any specific questions or you have any other locations which you like, you can share them into the comment section. I would like to hear any of your ideas. I'm always open to kind of get those things, I would say, to the public, because you know, like, we learn all together, right? So if anyone would like to add anything to this, I would love to hear from you. So again, thank you for watching. Stay tuned and I'll chat with you guys very soon. Bye bye.